Superhighway. We are live on Facebook. This is Oasis Palisades Retreat Collective. I have the great pleasure of being here with the wonderful Stephanie Matofsky-Kanan. She's the co-owner of the Oasis Palisades Wellness Center in Oasis Palisades, where myself and Dr. Tiari White have had the great pleasure of working with her at our wellness events there, where we offer holistic treatments like acupuncture and massage, herbal medicine, and nutritional consults. We all come together in order to help you guys virtually out there in the internet superhighway find ways that you can live well. So I ask this question, are we living in a way that promotes our wellness? What does that look like for us? How can we live it keeps us healthy? How can we help our healthy? And so part of what we wanted to talk about today is stress management. That's the number one thing that we can do to keep ourselves healthy. And when we are under stress, the question is, what do we do? How do we respond? How do we react? So when we can't control circumstances, we can control how we respond to circumstances. And so how do we regulate our nervous system, take ourselves out of fight or flight and calm down, come back to our conscious brain, our brain, be able to be calm, cool, and collected in the face of challenges is the question. Ties into some surprising events that I had experienced this last week. We had missed last week because my car was vandalized. It was parked around the corner from my house in Hollywood, and somebody decided to throw a big rock twice the size of my head through one of my windows in my car. And so that was a surprise to walk out to in the morning when I was going to take my car to run an errand. And so how we respond to these events is really what dictates our health, our state of being, and how we can show up in the world. And that ties into what Stephanie wanted to talk to us about today. So mental illness is an inability to process the emotional turmoil, the reactions to our circumstances. There were some great studies done by Kaiser, for example. 900,000 people were surveyed that were their patients, asking them if they had any type of childhood trauma. And these were patients that have all the chronic diseases that kill us, the top 5 killers, things like heart disease, things like diabetes, for example. All of these patients with chronic pain as well all had unresolved childhood trauma. So when we can't terms with the events in our lives, when we haven't learned the life skills to navigate, to process, to move forward with how we deal with these painful events and trauma, then we can turn to other ways to self-medicate, like drugs and alcohol, or committing crime, for example. Because again, other studies have shown that many people that end up committing crimes and become arrested and are in jail also had unresolved childhood trauma too. So from the unresolved childhood traumatic events and not learning the life skills of how to respond to those events and our emotional reactions in a positive and productive way, self-medicating with alcohol and drugs can lead to incarceration and homelessness and mental illness and ultimately chronic diseases as well that kill us. And so that's some of the things we wanted to explore today, is how do we get to the root here of how do we do life in a way that is positively responding to the challenges in our life? How do we learn some life skills, some coping skills? What can we do to help ourselves? That's why we get together each week to make these videos and offer our holistic wellness events to help all of you build your toolbox with which you can respond positively to the challenges and events in your lives. And then Dr. Tiari here, she is also an acupuncturist, as I am too, and an herbalist. And you see this wonderful mint leaf picture here where she would be. One of the things that we can do is use herbal medicine, for example, to, I like the term, there is a song, I don't know if you guys remember, Crazy from the Heat, the term, the song. I'm trying to remember. I want to say that was like a Van Halen lyric line from back in the day. But you know, when we're triggered in the summer, we get bothered working out on you know, dealing with things outside. Tiari has this beautiful retreat center in Ojai. She has over 1.6 acres of land and chickens. There's a lot of, so she needs to cool off and have her moment now after caring for her animals and her garden and her farm, etc. And so herbs are one of the ways to do that, to balance ourselves, to balance our mood, our emotions, our physical heat, our hot temper even that can flare up from being hot and bothered and tired. And so we can all come together today to offer some tips and tools for stress management in order for all of us to avoid making ourselves live in a state of emotional turmoil that can lead to diseases and also can lead to choices we wouldn't necessarily like the results of. And so I like breathing techniques. For example, I can lead us through a short one at the end. There's a 4-7-8. It was popularized by Dr. Andrew Weil in order for us to calm our nervous system when we are emotionally reactive, when we're upset, when we feel anxiety, when we feel stress. The easiest way to that is with a breathing technique. And it's quite simple, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 7 counts, and exhaling for 8 counts. Just doing that only 4 times in a row. Inhale 4, hold for 7, exhale 8. Just 4 times. Takes less than 1 to 2 minutes. We can come back to ourselves and be calm, and then make a decision, a choice, speak from that calm place. So when my window was broken, I had to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique to then prepare myself to call the insurance company and also be able to talk to the police for the police report and remain calm and cool about it, and not shocked and rustled, so to speak. And so I wanted to throw it over to here, Tiari. What would you like to share today regarding how you are dealing with your new challenges as a city mouse in the country, building the Love Center Retreat Center farm experience, and you're cooling off with your mint herb tea to become
Thanks,
more
Renee.
calm, cool, and connected. Yeah, that's a good strategy, good tool.
Thank you. Yes, I am totally a city mouse having a country experience right now. And, you know, it's interesting because I've definitely gotten some feedback from people where they say, wow, are you sure you should be getting those, you know, insert name of animal here, chickens, right, ducks, etc. And, you know, because what do you know about that? Well, I really don't know too much about it, but I learn, right? And I study. And it's interesting because you know, we all have plenty of experiences where we get to see things that give other people a lot of anxiety, but don't necessarily give us anxiety. You know, so everybody's got the things that they get triggered by that make them feel vulnerable and anxious. And, yeah, you know, yeah, that is oftentimes, well, because I'm personally of the belief that we all have unlimited potential, that it's primarily, you know, our limiting beliefs that create most of the fear and stress and anxiety that a lot of us live with in a chronic way. And similar to, you know, the experience that we're all having as a collective with the coronavirus, we can focus on certain limiting beliefs about our essential vulnerability, or we can also focus on, there are also other more expanding or empowering beliefs that we can nurture that focus on, you know, the ways that we are thriving and have been thriving all of our lives in the face of all kinds of different environmental, viral, stresses. So whichever mindset you choose to adopt, right, whatever the truth is of what the real dangers are, that truth is there. And let's just say we can identify exactly what the truth is, for instance. Although many of us feel like we do have we all have our own beliefs about what that truth is. But let's just assume that, there's debate. Just like there is with parents with little kids, it's like, oh, what's the safest way to raise your kid? I mean, people have tons of different opinions. And somewhere in there is whatever the truth is for that particular kid at that particular moment. But in the meantime, all we have to go on are what our beliefs are. And most of those beliefs, as you mentioning earlier, our childhood experiences have a huge role to play in shaping whatever our beliefs are about what's dangerous, what we need to be worried about, what's the best way for us to handle anxiety, all of these things.
What we think we need to have, like we make up these rules, we get them as examples from our parents, our environment. We learn. What is it we think we need to have in order to allow ourselves to be happy?
And also, if you look at the sort of hierarchy of needs model, what we need to feel safe is the foundation of that pyramid. And then it goes up from there to, what makes us feel good is almost, or our higher needs about what we need for growth, are kind of like at the top of that pyramid and or at the end of the pyramid, So, and it's interesting because that is a long slog, right? If you have to get through every single thing that you ever that you were programmed with subconsciously from childhood by the example of how you were raised, and somehow you have to transform every piece of that before you can get to a place of,
of freedom and growth. So like you have to
enjoying yourself
to feel safe. Do you have to have a certain amount of money in a bank account? Do you have to have this job? Do you have to live in this kind of house? Do you have to be in this kind of relationship? We make all of these rules. What is it that we're believing we have to have? And do we have the courage to question, is that all even true? Like this whole coronavirus experience, like, well, maybe we don't have to have this job. Maybe we don't have to have this amount of money in the bank account. We can still be happy, find a way for life to go on and enjoy our lives and the quality of our relationships. That's the real good question here. Do we really have to have any of these things we thought we had to have in order to feel safe, in order to be happy? Is that true?
The real question, I think that depends, because the real question is, what is it that you actually want? What is it that's going to actually make you happy? And a lot of times we really don't know the answer to that question, because many of the things that we choose as the answer, to that question are oftentimes things that are about keeping us away from our fears, right? But it's not really something that we genuinely, if the fears weren't there, those answers might change to something else, right? So I know we don't have a lot of time this morning, but so I just wanted to, real quickly, I wanted to talk about the fact that, this is a great time now that we're all in the sort of altered states of work and family organization. It's a great time to look at what some of these underlying beliefs are, and just try to address them, because a lot of us in our home environments are being really faced with a lot of familial limiting beliefs within our relationships, And also people don't have a lot of support necessarily or money to spend on getting support to handle those things. So what I just want to bring up, there is a great process that you can do to change your beliefs. Now, the first thing you need to do is identify what the limiting belief is. And that is a lot easier said than done. That part right there can take a while. But the key is you want to begin with a limiting belief and just write it out and work with it until you feel like it's really 100% expressing what that issue is for you. That can take a little bit. And it really just needs to ring 100% for you inside. It doesn't matter what anybody else would say if they heard you speak that limiting belief. But just for you, if it really rings true, identify what that is, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to try to link that belief with some other images that you know to be not true, and then later link it with the belief that you know to be true. So this is essentially you're remapping the limiting belief. First, you're taking something you know to be not true. For instance, your name is Herman, right? That is not a belief, Renee, Andrea, that you believe. You know that that's false, right?
Yeah, I can't sell Herman. I don't think anybody's going to buy me.
No, nobody's going to buy that. So, and your subconscious is, and the point is that your subconscious is completely not attached to that idea at all. Okay, so essentially what you do is you take that limiting belief and you disrupt it by overlaying it onto a completely nonsensical belief statement.
I think that for a moment, it can help. A limiting belief can be identified by the emotional turmoil that you feel. If you feel upset, if you feel in turmoil, then notice what are the thoughts that you're thinking that have created this emotional reaction in you.
That's a great point. When a limiting belief creates a strong physical reaction.
Yeah, a physical, mental, emotional reaction. It's everywhere. You feel it mentally, emotionally, and physically. When we are upset, that's a limiting belief reaction, that big emotional turmoil.
That's a great point. And when you're formulating for yourself, trying to identify that belief, if you have a certain version that really gets a big rise from you and creates, especially if it brings tears to your eyes, or you feel a constriction in your chest, those are, cues to look at that you've really hit on something that has a charge. So, so I'm just going to give you I'm not going to give you the details of the process exactly, but I'm giving you kind of an overview.
And everyone can contact Tiari and she can lead you through the process, because that's one of her skills that she's developed and practices in her practice. Because part of what we help people deal with are better ways to process their emotional turmoil and overcome it.
How about a challenge? How about a challenge for us all? Why don't we set a date and time and do a complimentary Zoom and advertise it and go through this process, and it'll bring community and all the things that we are hoping for other people.
Yeah, I love that. We can lead people through the process. You can volunteer to work with us on another Zoom. Mm-hmm. And
let's set a date and advertise it and bring some people and let's do it.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
that way we can kind of understand. It's a little, it's a lot involved.
Oh yeah.
understand from a short summary talk right now.
Oh, exactly. But, essentially, basically, the point is that you can, by changing all of our beliefs that we have are formed by associations that we
I'm 100%.
that are embedded. So what you're doing is you're just disrupting the old associations, and then you're remapping them onto associations that you essentially feel good about, or that are supportive of you, that you have a positive subconscious.
It's one great term. We can reframe how we look at certain circumstances that are less emotionally triggering for us. We can make peace with it by getting a new perspective.
Oh, good. I'm excited.
Just to close though, because I just need to finish, is that the remap is done with a positive version of what that limiting belief is. So you're not remapping the old toxic belief onto something positive. You're disrupting it, and then you're taking a redo of that belief and mapping it onto something that positive that you already have a subconscious anchor for. So it's a really amazing process, and I just wanted to offer it because it's the kind of thing that can really lead to a better way forward out of where we are now, because this is a great time to pivot, right? Our lives have been so disrupted. It's a fantastic time to pivot towards something else. And it's just great for you to move toward whatever that thing is without it being shaped too much by deep limiting beliefs of, fear, lack, scarcity, all of the above. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Renee.
Yeah, I love that. I'll mention too, thework.com. The work of Byron Katie is another process for the same thing. We have some choices and opportunities. There are many tools. That's why we come together each week to offer you more tips and tools so that you can have access to these things to help yourself. And we want to support you. I love that idea, Stephanie, you had. We can make a time to help people with that. That would be amazing. And then for you, Stephanie, you wanted to talk today.
Well, I know you got to leave in 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, I have to leave, but I can maybe push it a little bit. I have a car thing. I'm waiting for my friend to come help me and arrive at my house so I can do a car thing.
Oh, wonderful.
Still in process with my car thing, but I think they're running a little late, so we'll go as long as we can.
Cool. Well, I really wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today at all, which is great because I've always been taught recently that to live in the unknown and to just go with what is like truly freeing and magical when you are just living in the divine belief of, but that's not easily, that's something that takes practice, just like what Tiari's talking about. We just don't wake up one day and like we've got, the answers or the tools. I mean, we're all work in progress, right? We're all work in progress. Every day in every way, we're getting better and better. And we are, some of us have been getting tools for many, many years, and some people are new to getting the tools. So wherever you are on the journey, it's really just simple, but it's not simple because
we're all in the same boat, and it's very complex and simple at the same time.
I know, isn't that crazy? It's like so, right? Oh my God! I don't know. And I'm just grateful.
What is helping you embrace the unknown? Because, at first anything unknown can be scary and really uncomfortable. And then we can help ourselves be open and not attached to what we thought we wanted or needed that was going to happen, and then go on this new adventure that we didn't maybe plan at all. How are you doing that these days?
Well, let me just get back to my story, because this is about me not
I don't know why I couldn't hear you.
I was a little bit late today, but we didn't start recording until I got here. But I was going to the Grove to have breakfast with my family, and then I was driving home, and right at the corner of Fairfax and San Vicente on one of the bus stops was and is a lady who looked about in her 80s sleeping there, African American lady. And she had probably everything she owns on 2 different carts, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, wow, how in the heck, all that lady's sitting there with everything she probably owns. And how in the heck, what's going to happen with her this moment? Like once she wakes up, she's older and frail. She's like a great grandmother age. Like, this is not okay. This is not
level.
This is not okay. So we, you know, it's like we're all called to help, and there's so many ways that we can help, but we all, you know, we also have to be part of the change, you know. So I like, for me, how can I want to have this nonprofit amazing practice to help people who are mentally ill and are homeless, and then just go by and see something like that and just ignore it? You know, I can't. So I'm going to see what it is I need to do or can do for this lady. Like, I can't, I mean, how can an 80-year-old lady just be left on a bus bench with everything she owns? Like, and then what? Like, she just sits there until she dies? Or like, maybe when I go back, she won't even be there. But at least I can say that, you know, we're all in this together, you know, kind of thing.
All of us can come back to that humanity that you display so beautifully, and we can ask ourselves, what is it that we can do?
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of organizations to volunteer with too. There's even one of my patients works with Meals on Wheels and volunteer to help deliver food to people. We can all find a way to give back. I think that's a really excellent question.
But I'm serious, like, is that lady sitting there until somebody comes and helps her, or is she going to sit there, or is she going to wake up and be able to move all that stuff on her own and go where? Like, what, you know, it's like,
well, that's the whole system within LA. So all of these nonprofit and city funded organizations, that's when we get called to consider creating our own nonprofit or volunteering, because there's a gap between the services that exist to help these people and how many people still need help that don't have access to those services.
Girlfriend, you know my story. I'm not going to get extremely personal about my story, but I have a younger brother with addiction and mental illness, and I'm his advocate, or whatever that is. Like, I have signed papers that I speak for him in certain circumstances. And trust me, the system is not helping people. Like, I have been trying to get him a rehab for 7 months, 6 months, and there's just no beds available. There's just no resources. There's no, I think to myself, but God, like the whole thing where I started off, where like, when you're living in the unknown, and believing that it's going to work out no matter the circumstances, somehow magically, God provides. But
even outside of the scope of where you thought the help would come from, it can show up.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know my point in all of this, but you were going to talk about something related to this, and that was kind of related to what I wanted to share. And then Tiari was, talking about the same thing. So I know we are Oasis Palisades Retreat Collective, and we're here with the tools and services that we offer, just giving our full wanting to help service, be of service for people, and community. That's why I think we should take what Tiari wants to talk about and create community around that and be a support medically, emotionally, and spiritually, for those who.
We should also talk as well, because that's one of the things that we can do as physicians. I've been working on building a network referral system. And so there are resources within the city that Tiari and I have been building since we first started Acupuncture College to give resources to families.
I just had aha that we will take this and we'll do maybe we'll do some nonprofit work.
Yeah.
At Oasis or in nature. I found I'll share with you guys a great location in the Palisades up Los Leones. I went and did I went there with a friend, and there's perfect little there's a little amphitheater there. We gotta have a retreat right there.
Oh, that's lovely, because that's part of the concept too. When we do community acupuncture, when we do group meditations, group yoga classes, I've done volunteer work of teaching stress management skills like that 4-7-8 breathing to someone. We'll make better choices in our lives if we learn how to help ourselves, and that can be done free. It's just a matter of getting the education to people. So there are many ways. I love this conversation. We'll explore more of asking ourselves, how can we show up and help our communities? What does that look like? And so now this is a springboard for us, and we'll be in touch with all of you, and we'll let you know of some experiences that you can join us in, what we can all do together to help each other. So I have to go now and help I'm going to get help from my friend. I thank God for my friends to help my car.
I need your car.
Yeah, so thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you,
Tiari and Stephanie, and we'll see you all next week, and we'll continue this wonderful conversation. How can we help ourselves and our community? I look forward to doing that with you guys. So take care. Have a good week.
I know.
Bye-bye.